So now that we are well in these summer months, if you're trying to sell your house right now, expect it to take longer to sell. That's just the reality right now. And so, what I want to talk to you, buyers and sellers here in Surrey, is what's going on here in the Surrey market. There's a lot to unpack. And so, what I want to do here is talk about the total market, what's happening here, then break down the townhomes, the condos, and the detached, what's happening more specifically. Then I want to show you some real estate tools that I've built that I think are an absolute game changer when it comes to helping you understand the real estate market, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. You're going to want to see these tools. And so what I want to show you here is this chart here, this live graph that lives on my website. There's no email, there's no nothing to sign up for. You can literally just look at it whenever you want. And it goes over a lot of different information here that's super valuable for you as a homeowner or you as someone who's wanting to purchase property here in the Surrey market. I compare it to all the other cities here. So if you wanted to know anything else about real estate in other cities, you can go here and check that out. But first thing I want to show you is medium sale prices right here. What's going on here. As you can see, ever since, this is a 3-year graph. Here's the 5-year. Ever since 2023, we've been on a slight decline, right? 2022 was kind of an abnormal year. But ever since 2023, we've been continuing to slide downwards. And that's just what's happening here across the board. Surrey is no exception to what's happening here. And then sales, right? And it's interesting because as we're going to go through the graphs here, and as you're going to see, is that the same thing more or less happens every single time when it comes to all these different metrics. The price is the only one that kind of lives on its own on its own island, but everything else happens the exact same. More or less, the trends are the exact same. And so we can see here sales, right? We're now in the summer months. Sales have gone down. When we look, kind of same thing. Summer months, sales go down. This one here, summer months, sales go down. And so if you are trying to sell your house right now, expect less sales to happen. And most likely your home's gonna be on the market for longer, which we'll show you a bit later here. But that's what's happening here in sales. New listings, kind of same thing. Same thing happens every year, as you can see. There's gonna be less new listings that are hitting the market. And so if you're a buyer right now and you're like, man, there's nothing good on the market, well, expect less inventory until the spring. Or sorry, spring, I always say spring. Until the fall, I should say. Until September, October, there's a lot more new listings that hit the market. And so that's just something to think about here. Active listings, we have a lot of active listings. Now, if you compare it to the 25-year graph, it's still not as high as, you know, the 2015 to 2008 era, but there's a lot more inventory. And so what does that mean for your seller? Well, you have more competition. Chances are you go down the street, you can see a dozen other signs when you go to the grocery store, when you go to wherever you're going, right? And so you need to make your home stand out. And how do you do that? Well, you got to fix what's broken, right? Everything that's broken in the home, you need to fix. And then the location's obviously a big one, which obviously you can't change if you're living there, but then it's just going to come down to price, right? And so those are the 3 metrics that I usually look at when it comes to selling a property. But now if you're, wanting to buy something, well, you have a lot of options, right? And this is what I'm telling buyers right now is that you can wait, right? Prices are going downwards. So why not wait until you find the home you like? Now, if you're trying to look at a certain complex or a certain area, chances are there's not too many homes that come up for sale in that market. So you may have to act a little bit, especially on properties that are priced well. Like I'm literally just going to see a property today with some clients, and it's like, yeah, it's priced well, and they have like 3 or 4 showings. They got an offer coming in already. And so it's just something to think about for you as buyers. And now I want to get into is the sales to active listings ratio. And this is a ratio between all the actives versus how many sales happen, right? So the less sales that happen per active becomes more and more of a buyer's market. And when it becomes more and more of a buyer's market, prices have to continue to slide downwards. And that's what we're seeing here. We're at 10.1%. And so anything below 12% is a buyer's market. This is what the Fraser Valley is saying, the board saying. 12 to 20 is a balanced market. It's typically where a balanced market lives. And then anything above 20%, meaning there's a lot more buyers, a lot more sellers buying the exact same amount of goods. Well, it's a seller's market because now they can basically not price up what they want to price it at, but there's just more people chasing the same amount of goods. So keep that in mind. Now, days on market, this is the interesting one. I'm going to go back to 5-year. Like I was saying earlier, if you're trying to sell your house right now, expect longer times. You can see it right now. We've kind of jumped up to 38 days here. A little bit earlier, like last year, July only peaked at 25, and then 24, July was at 18. And so right now we're seeing a lot more inventory sitting for longer. And It's because most people are probably just saying, well, I can wait because prices are going down. I want to see it crash. Is it going to crash? Who knows, right? And this last one here is for you buyers out there. Percentage of original price. So how much homes are selling off the original price? It's important, right? Because I get this question all the time. How much does a property sell for off of the original? Like how much can I offer off this home? And so right now you're almost at 5%. So if it's a $1 million home for easy figuring, it's $50,000 off you can expect to get, right? And so keep that in mind. But that's what's happening here as a broad spectrum. So now I want to get into specifically the detached, the townhomes, and the condos. I'm going to change the graph up a little bit here. And so as we can see here on the HPI price, home price index, is that prices have continued to slide down. Month over month, 0.8%, 0.7, 1.6. Apartments really taking the biggest beating right now. And that's what we're seeing, not just in Surrey, but Langley, like Fraser Valley, everywhere. Apartments are taking the biggest beating. And then townhomes are actually the ones that aren't taking the biggest beating right now. And so I'm going to get into some more strategy with you a little bit later for those of you who are thinking about upsizing. But right now, apartments aren't taking the biggest beating, but detached and apartments are definitely taking the biggest beating. If I didn't say, I may have said that wrong. With townhomes, you're in the winning seat right now. And so next one I want to talk about is sales. So right now here, sales, we're kind of reaching the crest of where sales tend to come downwards. Again, we're in the summer months. People are doing things. They're just wanting to, explore nature and not think about buying real estate right now. And so we've kind of reached that. So there's gonna be less sales happening here on all the fronts. New listings, right? Same thing. Everything's happening here. New listings. If I didn't explain this earlier, I don't think I did. The real thin line is apartments. The medium line is townhomes, and the top one is detached. Just to let you know here. Active listings, again, same thing. There's less new listings hitting the market, so that means there's less active listings, essentially, right? Because things are still selling, and so if there's less new listings coming to kind of bolster that inventory up, well, then you're slowly going to kind of decline. And so it's just what's happening here. Sales to active listings ratio, and this is the one that the strategy that I wanted to get into a little bit. Well, I guess I can get into it now. Is that you can see here that the sales to active listings ratio, so apartments, we are well into a buyer's market right now. Like there's not many people buying apartments. Same with the detached, right? We're under 8%, which we haven't seen this, for quite some time. Well, actually, let's just go all here, right? If you look at the graph here, like it was kind of like 2008 was like down to 5 and 6%. So we're not there yet, but like we haven't seen this low in quite some time. And so what's happening right now is more people, statistically speaking, are buying townhomes, right? And so this is where the strategy comes in, and this is the unfortunate reality for some of you. If you are in an apartment right now and you are wanting to buy a townhome, well, less people are going after your apartment, so that means you're gonna have to take a lower price, and there's more people going after townhomes, and so you're most likely gonna have to pay a higher price percentage-wise with what's happening here. And so I'm gonna skip to the percentage on original price because that's kind of ties into what we're just talking about here. Again, apartments, you're getting 6% off your original price on average, 6.2%, right? Townhomes, you're at 96.5%. So you're holding closest to the original price in townhomes. And detached, same thing. You're like almost at 7% here. And so if you are trying to upsize, like I said before, from an apartment to a townhome, it's gonna be a little bit harder. You're gonna be getting a little bit less on your apartment and then paying a little bit more on your townhome. Now, if you are going from the townhome and going to the detached, that gap has never been closer, right? And so just some things to think about right now. If you're thinking about like, oh, I was going to upsize here to a detached, I'm not sure when, it's not a bad time right now. Not to say it's not going to get better. Nobody knows, right? No one has that crystal ball, but it's just something to think about right now because the opportunity does play in favor of those who own townhomes and are thinking about upsizing to that detached house. And so real quick to go back to days on market here. Again, this kind of proves my point even more. Days on market for the detached, they're staying the longest. Townhomes and apartments, they're kind of the same here, but as you can see, they've all gone up here, right? And they more or less all go up essentially kind of the same order, but that's just what's happening here right now. And so that's what's happening here in the Surrey real estate market. Now, I wanted to show you those real estate tools real quick. This is being one of them right here. This is a graph here. You can literally, if you wanted to compare Surrey to Langley, home prices, well, you could do that. Or if you wanted to compare, sorry, not Chilliwack, but Mission, Abbotsford, Maple Ridge, Aldergrove, you could literally see where everything prices out. And then you can compare like, hey, if I were to move from this city to that city, they may be the same price, who knows, right? So go use that tool. But if you do want to know, or stay up to date, I should say, on market reports, what's happening here in each of these cities, you can literally click the ones you want, put in your information, download my reports, you'll get them instantly. And then I'll be sending you on a monthly basis these reports and a video just like this one so that you can always stay up to date with what's going on. Now, if you wanted to see what those market reports looked like, this is essentially what they look like. So I'm gonna go to the Surrey one here. Just a one-page, real high impact, like what's going on here in the Surrey real estate space. And so go check that out. Again, you can download the ones you want. Now, the one of them, another tool, sorry, is the Zero Conversation Home Evaluation Tool. It's a super neat tool that takes all the actives, all the solds in the area that you're trying to sell your home, and essentially gives you a price instantly with a matter of 10 seconds. I've tried this thing hundreds of times, and I'm always blown away by how accurate it is. And so go check that out. All I would say is full transparency. Myself or my business partner, Clark, will be reaching out to you if you do submit one of these forms. And it's really just to see if you need any help, right? Because getting a price is one thing, but getting an expert in your home is another thing. But again, if you don't need any help, just tell us no. Tell us hey, I'm not interested. We'll go on our way. It's not an issue. And then the last one here, what I was talking about, those first-time home buyers, is a true home cost calculator. This thing here, I think every first-time home buyer should be using, like hands down. And so there's a few things that this thing does. Sell tab, if you're thinking about selling your house, you want to know what it costs to sell your home, you can literally figure it out right here. The buy tab, same thing. If you're thinking about purchasing a home, so first-time home buyers, thinking about purchasing, like what's all the costs involved in buying a home? Well, it has everything laid out here in simple terms, so you can kind of see how much money you need up front. The own tab, this is where it gets more important, right? So if let's say you've never owned a home before, you're going to buy a townhouse. How much does it cost to own a townhome? How much on a monthly basis? Well, you may never know, or you may not have access to information to figure that out. And so in this graphic, literally prompts you to put in all the information. And a lot of this information you can get off realtor.ca. Just go down below. There's strata fees, there's like property taxes. And if you need help, just let me know, raise your hand. I'm more than happy just to help you figure that out. And then the last one here, which is the most important, because the banks will tell you how much you can afford. I literally just had this with a client of mine. They were assessed that they can afford $650,000. And so I was like, okay, well, how have they figured out their lifestyle costs, right? How much do you spend each month on variables, right? Groceries, gas, night out. Like, what do you spend on? Because what we don't want to happen is that the bank says you can afford a $2,000 a month mortgage payment. But then when you figure out how much your spending costs are and you realize you have no money left over, you're actually losing a bunch of money. That is not good, right? And so in this calculator here, you put in your take-home income, so after tax, car payments, variable livings, groceries, dining out, all this good stuff. And literally here just spits out a number. Hey, you know what? You're saving $100 a month. You're good. Or hey, you're actually losing $200 a month. And so you either need to change your purchase price to lower or change your lifestyle costs. And so that's what this graph's all about. That's essentially what's happening here in the Surrey real estate market. And if you have any questions about any of these schools, feel free to reach out. But if you are going and checking out homes, going to open houses, I want to encourage you to watch this video right here. It's how to spot a bad house in 60 seconds, where I literally go over everything that you need to know when it comes to what to look for in a home, because you maybe have never done this before. And so go check that video out. But as always, I appreciate you watching, sticking around with me, and I'll see you in the next one.